My parents held me down on our kitchen floor and called a doctor to permanently mutilate my throat for defying tradition. They scheduled a triple vocal cord cut to silence me forever. Now, my father's hiding in shame after our community banned the procedure and exposed his crimes. Subscribe so you don't miss what's next. When I was 13, I watched my older sister bleed into her soup the night after her vocal cords were cut. Gauze soaked red, eyes full of terror, unable to scream as her throat burst open weeks later. The memory of her handwritten "can't breathe" note haunted every meal I've eaten since. When I was 8, I heard whispers about Saudi, my cousin who vanished after fighting the tradition. Her name was forbidden at family gatherings. I once found a torn photo of her stuffed behind my father's toolbox. She looked strong alive. That photo became my secret talisman. Proof someone had escaped, I kept it hidden beneath my mattress, afraid he'd find it and destroy it like he did her name. I staged a fainting spell during a family prayer to avoid being marked for the upcoming cut. It worked for a week, and my father caught me watching a documentary about banned procedures. His face turned to ice, he slapped my laptop shut, screamed about betrayal, and locked my door for 3 days. That night, I carved no into my bedsheet with a safety pin. I knew this was war. I snuck out at midnight to meet Catherine, a survivor turned activist who attacked our town's hospital records. She gave me burner phones and instructions, but when I returned my mother was weighing, pale and trembling. She'd found the extra SIM cards and turned them over to my father. He smashed them with a hammer and dragged me by my hair into the garage. I screamed. But no one in the house moved. Franklin installed motion sensors outside my room and chained the windows shut. Evelyn pretended not to notice, but I saw her trembling hands every time she brought my meals. I started counting footsteps as hers, mine timing my escapes by seconds. The morning I tried to jump the back fence, he caught me by the ankle. Next time, he growled, "You won't have legs to run with." I didn't sleep for days. I poured bleach on my throat and posted the pictures online with the caption, "My father wants to silence me." Catherine amplified it. Within hours, it went viral. But instead of saving me, the backlash came harder. Franklin stormed in waving screenshots, calling me a disgrace. He yanked the internet router and smashed my phone. Then he announced the doctor would arrive in 2 days. Evelyn wept. I dry heaved until dawn. Catherine mailed me a flash drive hidden in a tampon box. On it, encrypted videos of Franklin's secret meetings with the cutter, Dr. Bellamy. I showed it to Evelyn in the laundry room, her face cracked. This wasn't my choice. She whispered. I begged her to testify. She walked away without a word. Later, I found the flash drive floating in the toilet. I screamed so loud, I nearly blacked out. The day of the procedure, they dragged me to the community hut. My wrists were zip-tied. My mouth was taped shut. Dr. Bellamy was sharpening a blade when the doors flew open. Catherine burst in with Saudi, alive. Saudi carried court documents. Catherine held a live-streaming phone. Gasps erupted. Evelyn stood frozen. Franklin shouted lies, but stumbled back when Saudi said he forged every consent. The room exploded into whispers and camera flashes. Dr. Bellamy tried to flee, but community elders blocked the exits. Catherine's video was still live, 10,000 viewers. Saudi read the judge's injunction banning vocal cutting statewide. Franklin lunged for her, but Evelyn stepped between them, arms wide. Enough, she said. Her voice broke. I helped you once, I won again. Bellamy dropped the scalpel. I sobbed through the tape, shaking as my ties were cut by trembling hands I once feared. The police arrived within minutes, tipped by Catherine's stream. Franklin was arrested first, then Bellamy, still muttering about honor. The community gathered outside, stunned. Some clapped, others just cried. Evelyn knelt beside me, whispering I was afraid. Not cruel. I called and speak, but I took her hand. Saudi hugged me fiercely, her voice low. You were never alone. The sun broke through the clouds as I stepped out free for the first time in the safe house. I asked Saudi why she waited so long. She hesitated, then showed me an old letter, our grandmother's handwriting. It confessed that she's invented the vocal cutting tradition as a punishment for disobedient girls. Bellamy was her nephew. My blood froze. This wasn't a cultural relic, it was a family weapon. Franklin hadn't just enforced the practice. He's vowed to keep grandmother's legacy alive. We weren't victims, we were heirs. Saudi confessed she's once helped recruit girls, believing it righteous. Her guilt nearly drowned her. That's why she ran. Catherine had found her half-starved in an alley. I reeled. My only ally had been part of the machine. But her eyes healed. No lies. We break it together, she said. I nodded. I couldn't hate someone who chose to repair what they shattered. We weren't just survivors, we were architects of the end. When we shared the grandmother letter online, people screamed fake. It hurt worse than silence. Catherine tracked down a video clip, grandmother speaking proudly about discipline traditions at a hidden summit. She said, a girl's voice is her rebellion. We fixed that. It matched the letter. The backlash turned. Survivors from other towns came forward. We weren't isolated horror stories anymore, we were a movement. Truth didn't shout. It built slowly, then word. An anonymous tip sent us coordinates to an abandoned basement under the old chapel. We went, armed with flashlights and pepper spray. What we found: filing cabinets filled with medical records, audio tapes, consent forms, all forged, hundreds of names. Franklin had digitized nothing, trusting no one. His hubris became our goldmine. Catherine leaked it to journalists. Within days, 5 more towns outlawed vocal cutting. Bellamy's license was shredded. The map began to change. The files included a page on me, case 4079 marked for control. Likely to resist. My stomach turned. They'd predicted I'd fight back, and they'd planned for it. Notes detailed corrective conditioning, including food withholding and staged exorcism. I'd thought my resistance was unpredictable, but they'd trained for it. It made me sick, but also sure, if they prepared for war, and war is what I'd give. I wasn't chaos, I was the reckoning. A knock came late at night. Evelyn, holding a dusty journal she made me keep records. She said, trembling. The journal was filled with names, dates, symptoms, deaths. Some girls hadn't survived the cuts. I wept reading their fates. Evelyn had written apologies beside each one. I couldn't stop her, but I remembered them, she whispered. Her silence hadn't been absence, it had been survival. And now, her voice was a ledger of grief. The journal mentioned a girl named Marnie Langston, who died at 17. She wasn't in any family photos. Evelyn admitted Marnie was my aunt, cut, infected, and buried secretly. We erased her, she said. I dug into town records and found nothing, no birth certificate. No grave, my family hadn't just punished rebellion, they deleted it. Marnie's absence became our new mission. We'd bring her back, not from the dead but from the shadows. We launched Project Marnie digital archives, survivor interviews, and missing girl databases. Donations poured in. The town council tried to silence us, claiming community reputation. We countered with murals, vigils, and public readings. One day, someone spray-painted speaker across the old cutting hut. It stayed, even when officials repainted the wall. The message bled through. Marnie wasn't a whisper anymore. She was a movement, and movements don't beg, they burn until they're seen. An undercover reporter joined our group, pretending to be a survivor. When she published her article, she called us cult-like rebels. The internet turned brutal, but Catherine had receipts, screenshots, fake identity logs, and leaked editor memos. She exposed the reporter's deception live. Our followers doubled overnight. The storm had tested us, but also proved we were real grief. Real rage, real girls cut and lost. You can't fake that kind of truth. A former cutter named Jonah emailed us, saying he once worked under Bellamy. He'd defected after a girl died in his arms. He offered to testify. At first we didn't trust him, but then he sent us video logs, secret recordings of planning meetings, dates, and payment lists. His voice cracked in every clip. He said, I thought I was helping. We knew he wasn't innocent. But truth doesn't come clean, it comes real. One of Jonah's tapes caught Franklin admitting to silencing problem girls through forged mental health claims. He'd labeled me as unstable to justify forced procedures. That label still sat on my school record. We petitioned to have it removed. The board hesitated until we published the audio overnight. The hashtag erase the label trended. Counselors reached out, apologizing. I wasn't just vindicated, I was seen. And this time, my silence wasn't submission, it was strategy. A classmate, Marin, quietly pulled me aside. She'd watched my story unfold and whispered, me too. She wasn't Langston blood, but had survived a discipline ritual at her uncle's. She'd been mute for years. Together, we recorded her first full sentence. I was worth saving. We posted it. It shattered hearts. Donations doubled. Survivors flooded the inbox. Her voice wasn't just recovery. It was a battle cry for girls still waiting. Saudi hacked into an encrypted archive labeled Heritage Protocol. Inside were videos of ceremonies, dozens of girls, blindfolded and gagged, led to altars. Franklin appeared in most, but so did respected officials. We debated releasing it. Catherine warned it could cause panic. I voted yes. We posted one clip. The media frenzy was instant. Protests erupted as statues fell. Silence wasn't culture, it was control. And now, every frame proved what we'd endured. The footage triggered an investigation into historical malpractice. A government task force contacted us, requesting testimony. We were flown out. Escorted by security, I sat in a room with lawmakers and told them, tradition doesn't mean torture. Saudi presented the files. Catherine showed live survivor responses. The chairwoman wept. By weeks in, a national ban passed. What began in one girl's bedroom now rewrote federal law. We weren't hidden, we were history. An old friend of Franklin's sent me a letter. He used to say, a daughter's voice is a weapon. That phrase had haunted me, but now it felt flipped. I painted it on a wall above the courthouse, only this time a daughter's voice is her weapon. People gathered, took photos, shared stories. What was once fear became fuel. My throat, once targeted for silence, became a monument of rebellion carved in ink. We found a hidden drawer in Franklin's study, inside letters from girls he's targeted, never sent. Apologies, please, even bribes. Each one had notes scribbled, dismissive insults, jokes. I burned them in the yard. Catherine beside me. Let the ashes speak, she said. As smoke rose, neighbors watched from their porches. Some nodded, others turned away. It didn't matter. Those girls weren't erased. Their pain fed the fire. Their silence became smoke signals. On the anniversary of my sister's cutting, we held a vigil under the old tree where she once carved her initials. Survivors lit candles. Catherine read Marnie's name aloud. Saudi placed a photo of every girl we'd saved on the branches. I stood, scarless, with a microphone. My first public words were simple. We're not victims, we're storms. The crowd echoed back. My voice didn't just return, it thundered, and the world listened. I now live in a small apartment downtown with walls I painted myself. No cameras, no locks, just peace. Catherine and I run a hotline for at-risk girls. Every call we answer is a lifeline. I keep Saudi's letter in my drawer, and Marnie's photo above my bed. At night I whisper their names, not in grief but in honor. Their silence raised me. My voice keeps them alive. Sometimes I dream I'm back on that table strapped down, mouth taped, but even in sleep I fight, I break free. I scream. In those dreams, my sister's voice joins mine. We harmonize, not mourn. I wake up sweaty but smiling. Trauma doesn't vanish, it transforms. My fear became flame, my wound a banner. I didn't escape the past, I turned it into fuel. That's survival, that's rebellion, that's mine now. I kept the carved bedsheet with no etched in pinholes. It hangs above our hotline office. Every girl who walks in sees it. I tell them that was my first weapon. Some laugh, some cry, all understand. Saying no saved me, saying no saved them. And each time someone adds their story beside mine, the wall grows louder. Not with screams but with echoes of power, with the sound of becoming. Franklin died alone in prison. No visitors, no funeral. His legacy was silence but not the kind he tried to enforce. It was society's rejection. Bellamy lost his license, his home, and vanished from headlines. The justice system didn't just punish them, it erased their authority. What once ruled with fear, now faded without honor. Power built on pain never survives truth. Their silence now serves justice, not control. The cutting hut became a memorial garden. Survivors planted roses, one for each girl remembered. One for each life saved. Tourists visit, not in pity, but in awe. Evelyn volunteers there, telling the truth she once hid. Her voice wavers but holds. We don't bury shame here, she says. We plant memory. Every blossom is proof silence no longer reigns. Voices grow here now. Thorned and wild and free. On the wall of our office hangs a plaque. Legacy doesn't mean obedience. Under it, Marin trains new volunteers. Saudi coordinates national survivor networks. Catherine teaches digital safety to teen girls. And I see our Langston take the midnight calls. Each story echoes mine, but ends in survival. We built this haven from ruins. And from the silence they gave us, we've created a symphony they'll never mute again. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe to check out more stories on my channel.